Anywhere you are in Nigeria, you will get the book. Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Bolanle Godwin and it is such a pleasure to have you here with me today. If this is your first time joining the family, you're highly welcome, Your Majesty. It's such a pleasure to have you. And if it's not, hello lovelies. I'm so happy to see you guys again. I know February has been good. We've been turning up, we've been looking good, we've been looking the part. Let's keep it up. And I just want to encourage once more that we should continue to use the comment section duly. Like, I see you Bruce Donald, but you people are not telling me things in the comment. How am I supposed to know how you feel if you won't tell me how you feel, honey? Tell me how you feel. Yeah, I hope this thing, like my flyaways, are not jumping, because the fan here is just doing a bit too much. It's doing Indian thing. But yeah, today, like the video already says, we're having a book recommendation. Not just any kind of book recommendation, but this recommendation are for my lovelies that are trying to get into reading, or you're trying to get out of a reading slum, or you're trying to get into African literature. As an African literature representative that I am, I'll be sharing with you 10 books you should get into. And they are not big books, I promise. They are either a collection of short stories, which means you can read a story at a time, or a short pamphlet book, novellas, or even smaller than that. So yes, I will be giving you 10 of that. And one more thing, there is going to be a giveaway at the end of the video. I said it, there's going to be a giveaway. So my love, for don't go and jump away, just follow the video steadily, because you don't know where I'm going to give my giveaway. So the first book I have today, I'll be starting from books I have presently to books I don't have a physical copy, is this book. Like, Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad by Damilare Kuku. I don't know what Kuku put in this book, but if you've not read Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad, I said this in one of my vlogs. Are you mad? Because why haven't you read it? Why are you Nigerian and you've not read this book? You can be African and excusable, but why are you Nigerian and have not read this book? I don't think this book is discriminant to anybody. You don't have to like a particular kind of thing to read this book. It is just the definition of relatable to every Nigerian and African. So I would advise and would strongly suggest, for your first pick Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad by Coco. This book has a total of 12 short stories, and 12 short stories, and I have some really favorite picks out of them. I think Cock was my favorite. The Lover's Vendetta was an absolute fave. That story had so much agony in it. I could feel this woman's vein and everything she was going through. I also like Sidelined, The Beard Gang, and Oedipus Complex. But you can read as many and enjoy as many. That's one thing about short stories. You don't have to like all of the stories. You just have to go through it. A story per day, read a story in 4 days, a story a week, 1 page a day. I'm big on small habits. Like Atomic Habits taught me small habits. You don't have to finish this book in 3 days, and you don't have to read it twice like me. You just have to take it a day at a time. So my second pick would be Who Drove Nearly All the Lagos Men Mad. I got this last week Sunday, and I finished it. I've gone through it. This is a collection of 11 stories. And one thing about relatable stories is they make you want to finish it. You want to know how relatable is your relation to what I'm relating to, if you understand what I said. So yeah, this is by Ugochukwu Ugonna. It is more of an opposing fraction to the first one. I liked the first story, Swiped Right. I also liked Body Count, and I liked what was it? I think A Match Made in Heaven. Yeah, I didn't like more than 3 or 4 of them as well in this, but like I said, really exciting read. It will keep you on your toes. If you are interested in some topics, it also addresses it. So yeah, you should also get this. This is definitely a second pick for me. Now that we are done with Lagos people, shall we move on? My third pick will be The Thing Around Your Neck. This is by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I would recommend this book strongly as well. It is an African compilation of African stories as well. I did not finish this book when I first read it. I had to get it again, and I am still currently reading it. I read it for school, and one thing you should know is reading in the Department of English and reading as a reader are two different things. I had to fall in love with reading again outside literary analytics and semantics and appreciations and criticism, because it just takes all the pleasure out of the book. Yeah. So yeah, this had some really good stories as well. I think I'm in story 4 on Monday of last week. Yes, on Monday of last week, and I don't think you want to miss it out. Also, if you're trying to get into Chiamanda's work slowly and steadily, because her novels are big, man. Like Americana is big, I will tell you. If you want to get into her works, just slowly, like a feet in the water first, I would say you should start with this. Okay. My fourth pick would be this. The Baby Is Mine. I read The Baby Is Mine last year. I read it in 2 days. Yeah, it was one of my slow reads, but I understood why. It is a very interesting short story. This is by Olayinka by White, and I think she's the author of. She's not the author of My Sister the Serial Killer, if I am correct. Yes, My Sister the Serial Killer. I have not even read that book, but this gave me an insight to how this person will write. She has a very twisty, she has good plot twists, yeah, and I did enjoy it because the book finishes with the story finishes with a plot hanger or a story hanger. I don't know how it's called, a cliffhanger rather. Yeah. So it has very good interest. It will keep you on your toes. It's set during the pandemic. And I think if you just want to go down memory lane, you also want to just see how this author writes and understand if you should actually invest in her other books, it's a good pick. Now, I know somebody is going to say, "Oh, you recommended is Nigerian literature. All you recommended is Nigerian literature." I'm Nigerian, girl. Face it. My fifth pick, this is Binti by Inedi Okorafor. I was introduced to this woman before the pandemic, and this was the first book that I was introduced to her through. I got this book, this was the first book I got from Rowena Heights in 2019. I had just started reading again, and I did really wanted to read something outside what they would regularly recommend to us in class, and then I picked this book. This book is a, how do you call it, science fic? Yes, it's not set on planet Earth. It has very interesting characters. It gives, if you don't have good imagination, you might not enjoy this. You have to be very creative with your imagination. Funny enough, this is not the full book. This is like, it's a trilogy, yeah? It's a trilogy that's 3 parts, and this is one part of it. I have not read the other 2 parts, but when I was in my final year, I had a colleague that took the entire book, and I think it's giving African futurism at the end, which is what I think her topic was even centralized on, which is what the book is. Most of Inedi's work, I hope I'm yes, Inedi's work is usually African futuristic. I have read other works like Who Fears Death. I'm also interested in checking out other works, and I think you should also check it, especially if you're into this kind of jam. Now, I know that when some people hear Chinua Achebe, all you remember is Things Fall Apart. I want to go back to the classics. I think this book was recommended to me in school. You had to read like 4 out of the stories, and I have to say it is an absolute gem if you also are trying to get into reading. The title of this work is called Girls at War and Other Stories. I was trying to get it for you guys. I'm sorry I kept on looking down. Girls at War and at War and Other Stories. This book had a lot of interesting stories. Let me see if I can see if I could. Yeah, I loved The Madman. I think this was the one I read in my final year, and it was funny and yet very deep. It's scarring if you understand the story. Also, Girls at War, I would recommend the book. Of course, you should understand that Chinua Achebe's form of writing is in a very classical form. His writing is really simple. It's not as complex as his other counterpart, Wole Soyinka, that we also had to take. I think The Interpreter was what we took from him. So yes, you would definitely enjoy it. It's easy, it's breezy. You get the story, you get a few chuckles here and there. Why not? The seventh short story on my list is The Visit, also by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is what it looks like. I read this as well in school. It was recommended, but the reason why this book is still very much deep in my spirit, is how the storyline. This book is the opposite of everything our today's society teaches. Instead of a patriarch society, we have a matriarch society where you things are just done the opposite way. It was book feels like an experiment where we play things the opposite way. There are reversed roles in the short story, and you get to see um how, I don't know, should I say insidious it sounds, how on you can't even understand why you're reading it and how this is possible, but it was made possible in the story. I would definitely recommend everybody reads this. Just take a minute and read it. This is one book that made me laugh in places I didn't think it was possible. It was very emasculating for the men in some instances, and I think you should read it. It's not a very big book. Yeah, it's about 23 pages. So yes, you can finish it in a sitting, you can finish it during a cool evening, but like I said, it would it will grip you. The next collection of short stories I would recommend is Say You Are One of Them by Uwen Akpan. Just like many of the books I have recommended here, this was recommended to me in school as well, but I was asked to read just one. I think it's a compilation of 5 short stories, and some of them not so short, some of them really short. And I read, if I'm correct, I read an Xmas feast, the first one. An Xmas feast. This is what the cover I have looks like. I have never seen this book in a physical hard copy, so I don't really know if it exists. But it was a very in-depth and needed read when I read it. If I'm very correct, the stories in this book are set in different African nations of the world, and I think it did an in-depth analysis of what things like poverty, family, prostitution, children molestation, early growth, coming of age look like in these communities. And when I read this book, it was not for, I think it was, like I said, to treat each of these themes and not a form of redemption per se, but it also ties to significant things like Xmas and the likes of that. So I think it's a book you should read. You should really take your time to read. It was not so long. I think it was barely 14 pages for that particular story. But like I said, some of them are long. Guys, the next book I will be recommending, in every 10 people, or should I say in every 10 Nigerians, 8 people know this book. It's pretty popular. It's The Broken People Playlist by Chimika Garrix. This is another collection of short stories. I don't know how I don't have that book till now. I don't know how. But I'm going to get it in March this month, or this coming month rather. And I just had my double R come through. How many of you noticed I have a double R and I thought? Yeah, so this book is also a collection of short stories, but it's a musically connected one. From what I understand, it's a love story to Port Harcourt, his home of growth and development. I have read his other works. I read Tomorrow Died Yesterday recently, and I have to say he's an absolutely fantastic writer. It covers basic things like family, identity, finding oneself, and the likes of that. I think um, every story has a musical point that appeals to the story it's telling, or the tale that it's telling. This is a book I would generally recommend to anybody. One, I have not gotten any bad review from this book. Like, everybody that has read it likes it and find themselves in one point or the other of this book. The last book on my list today, I actually had to check because I was running out of short books to recommend, and then I remembered that July actually gave us the book of the month in the Happiness Maker, and it was Call and Response. This book is by a Botswana author, Tony Mwang. She's a Botswana woman, obviously, and this book is centered around women. I think I should put that, centered around women. So if you need literary text that just covers womanhood, young and old, from what I understand, there is the traditional woman, there is the insight on the traditional woman and the modern woman. We have other things like grief, and kept taking, because like I said, it's the book of the month, but I didn't get it. I didn't even know we were having to talk to like a night before, and I'm just giving from the giveaways from the conversation, but from what I can tell, it is an absolutely interesting read. Most of the stories are set in the capital of Botswana. I think that's Gaboni. Yes, Gaboni and some villages around the capital. And I think one thing I liked from the conversations we were having is the relatability the book had, or these stories had, to um every African woman. So you would not you won't feel left behind or perplexed or overwhelmed from the story. Find the book, I would advise and suggest you to read it and enjoy, and tell me what you think in the comment section. That brings us to the end of my recommendation. I hope you had a swell time. Thank you for sticking with me to this very portion of the video. And now the giveaway, guys. Giveaway, I will be putting further instructions by this side so that you can pause the video and read. It's very simple. I will be gifting one of these recommended texts to one of my lovelies, which is you guys. All you have to do is this: you have to mention the book you want out of these 10 recommended books I have mentioned today. You have to get as many as your friends, as many as you can find, to like your comment. And the only giveaway is they have to be subscribed to the channel. That is the only giveaway. I will be mentioning the winner by next week. Anywhere you are in Nigeria, you will get the book. Yes, I will not be giving you my copy. I will be getting you a new copy. And I will also mention, when I mention the winner, I will be mentioning the day you'll be getting your text from me. I hope we can continue to do more of this, guys. I really do enjoy reading, and I know a lot of you are trying to cultivate reading habits, and I'm here for the support, I'm here for the love, I'm here for the entertainment, I'm here for the community. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, call your family and friends to join the family. I am trying to get us to 200 followers by the end of March. It's not Dululu, but it's Dululu. I want to see how far we can push this. And until next time, bye. All I ever asked was you to pick up the phone when you alone. All I ever